Hello and welcome along to Extra Time here on Fox's Hub following another Leicester City victory, and it was the biggest of the season away at Stoke, winning by 5-0. It's another one from home for me, Dan Bates. Tony Cottee is also at home. We're speaking over the wireless together, and Iwan Roberts and Gerry, Taggart, ever the professionals, are in the studio for us this evening. Good evening to the three of you. We'll start in the studio and my co-host Iwan. How are you doing? Did you have a good weekend?
I'm just saying, is there any chance you ever coming back into the studio, Dan?
Yeah, you don't want me to. You're ready to take my job,
mate. I said I'm only keeping the ship warm for you.
Yeah, he's done his quiff, hasn't he? In the last 10 minutes. He's put some product on the top of his head.
I'm telling you.
Because his quiff was sitting out here somewhere. Like an old school. I
saw yours, Gerry, and I knew I had to up my game, you see.
I'm good, Dan. Thank you, mate. I'm good. I had a little scouting mission to Vicarage Road on Saturday. Good win for Cardiff City down there. Watford huffed and puffed in the second half. They were unlucky, to be fair, not to come away with a point. Obviously, Watford are Leicester's next opponents, and what a fantastic week! What a fantastic week! When you think the loss at Coventry, that last-minute goal here at the King Power against Ipswich. To go win 3 games on the Spain, score 11 goals, concede 1. Magnificent week for Leicester.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that Watford game a little bit later on with the insight of our chief scout, Iwan Roberts, who, as he said, saw them at the weekend. Gerry, it was a return to your former club on Saturday, wasn't it, at Stoke? You enjoyed that?
Oh, it was a great afternoon. I think that's one of the best performances I've seen this season, without a shadow of a doubt. And I said at the time, they didn't look like they got out of second gear. Obviously, that's metaphorically speaking. But, yeah, it was a complete performance. They looked really solid at the back as well, Leicester. Never mind going forward with the 5 goals, but they looked proper solid all over the park. And Stoke, just didn't have any answers for them. So, yeah, it was clinical, emphatic. You can put any superlative, should have said.
I think that's the best way to describe the most complete performance this season from the club.
Without a doubt. Yeah. And some of the goals, some of the football for the goals. Jamie Vardy, the ball from James Justin for Jamie Vardy goal was just like top class.
But can you believe, right? Yeah. Can you believe? I saw the EFL team of the weekend. Oh, Enzo's manager. That was obviously going to be a given. Only 2 Leicester players have got in that starting 11. Can you name them?
Winks.
No.
Ricardo.
No. No. Daka. No.
Yeah, Daka was good.
We spoke about him earlier. You said he had his best game for Leicester. Fass is one, and who's the other one? To be fair, I've seen quite a bit of the highlights. He looked really lively in the first half.
Mavididi?
No. Other side.
Fatawu? Yeah.
Can you believe you go away, you win 5-0 and it could have been 10. I mean, it could have been 3-0 up before the first goal, to be fair. And you only get 2 players in the team of the week. Yeah. It's madness.
Oh no, they were brilliant. Absolutely brilliant on Saturday.
Our final good evening of the night has, of course, got to go to Tony Cottee. Did you have a nice weekend yourself?
Yeah, evening, boys. I couldn't get a word in there. I was just
sorry, CC.
Sorry,
obviously, no, I had a good weekend, Dan. Thanks a lot. Had a bit of football. Watched a bit of horse racing as well on Saturday. Sitting at home, flicking through the channels, and then yesterday I had to go to Ewan's Manor, which is Wales. I had a dinner in Wales over in near Newtown.
Oh yeah.
Gerry FC it was for, Ewan.
Gerry FC.
So, yeah, I did really appreciate the 4-hour drive. But what it did do, it meant that I couldn't watch West Ham getting stuffed 3-0 at Man United. So it done me a favour, I think. So, yeah, I'm all good. But I've got a little knee consultation on Thursday, Dan, sort of similar to yourself. And I'm going to blame Tags for all that running round at the back of the training when we were doing the lap running round together. I'm going to blame Tags. So I might have to have a knee operation and follow in your suit. Tony,
that was not running, and you know that. That wasn't even a jog. What we used to do in the warm up.
It's your fault. So that's how it.
Oh, brilliant.
Well, that'll be Gerry, Tony, and me then with dodgy knees. Just you surviving and standing, you and then for us.
Touch wood, yeah, no problems with them. Thankfully,
that stays that way. Coming up extra time this evening, all the usual stuff. We've got our Lardle, of course, globetrotting later with you, and we've got our predictions to get through. Jenga at the end of the show. We'll take a look at some of the social media posts, of course, by the Leicester players following that victory at the weekend. As Ewan said, we'll look ahead to that Watford game as well. As ever, we want you to get involved with the show, whether you comment on YouTube or on Facebook. We'll read out some of the best ones and maybe get your questions in to tonight's panel as well. But we do have to start, as we already have, with that comprehensive victory at the weekend, Ewan. And obviously you were away working elsewhere. You've seen the highlights. Gerry was there. Likewise, Tony, of course, seeing it. And they just were very dominant, weren't they, throughout the full 90 minutes?
Outstanding performance from the first kick to the last. Scored 5. Could have scored another 5, limited Stoke to very little. You know, Mads Hermansen made a double save in the second half. Outstanding save. He deserved his clean sheet from those 2 saves alone. When you think of the chances, Dan, before Daka gets his first, Fatawu goes close with a left-footed shot, and then he puts a great ball into the box, and Daka's just caught underneath it. Doesn't quite get the height that he needed in the jump. I mean, Dewsbury Hall for the first goal. You talk about desire and wanting to get to a ball first. That's because I think the defender was the favourite.
Yeah, without doubt.
He just gets there, and then he's got the composure just to stand that ball to the back stick. And I thought it was a clever little header from Fatawu. He could have gone for goal. I don't think it's a big strength of his, in all fairness, and he's put it in a great area. And I just looked at Patson Daka's movement, and TC, you'd have loved it. He's as that ball's landing on Fatawu's head, he's already moving into that 6-yard box, and it looks a simple goal in the end for Patson Daka. It was just Fass's run for, was it the 3rd goal, where it comes from nowhere really. He just keeps on going and going and going. As you said. The James Justin cross for Jamie Vardy, that's him on 180 Leicester City goals now. Can he get to 200? And it was just a magnificent performance. And we sat here last week and we looked at the 2 games. Swansea here last Tuesday, Stoke away, not in a great run, hadn't won in their previous 7 games, and we thought 6 points out of 6. I think it had to be 6 points out of 6, having only taken 1 from the previous 2. And the boys didn't disappoint.
Yeah, I think, on the back of that, talking about, I give Patson Daka a man of the match, but I could have given 5 or 6 man of the match easily on Saturday. But I just thought Daka gets a couple of goals. His work rate was phenomenal. And that's the reason why I give it to him. He got the ball rolling on Saturday. But Winks, Ricardo, Fatawu first half, it was just all superb. I'm more, I'm more of them as well. It was just an unbelievable performance.
Yeah, Ewan mentioned that first Patson Daka goal, Tony. You'd have been proud of that one, wouldn't you? He anticipated the knockdown from Fatawu, and Matt Elliott in the studio asked if David Nugent would have gone for goal with the header that Fatawu had, and he said absolutely he would. I'm sure you'd have done the same, but you would have been happy in Daka's shoes to stand there and get the tap in, I'm sure.
What are you trying to say, Dan? Most of my goals came from 3 yards out. I think that's what you're hinting at, aren't you? Yeah. But no, it's a great skill, and I think it's a skill that sadly seems to be going out the game. That art of being a centre forward, of poaching the goals. You know, we've seen Jamie Vardy do it many times for Leicester over the last 10 years or so. And I love a goal like that for a striker and that. And you mentioned it, you know, people say, oh, yeah, it was an easy goal, but it's not an easy goal. You have to make the run. And I think invariably, you know, not too much criticism of defenders, but I think when the ball's played over their head, defenders don't have that instinct to just immediately switch on or think there could be danger. And I think forwards do that. You know, once it goes over your head, you've got to be in that position. You've got to be ready for the ball to arrive at your feet. You know, it was a great header back from Fatu. I've got to say, I love the cross from Dewsbury Hall. I've mentioned it. I mentioned on the show a few weeks ago about how I love it when a player just gets his foot under the ball and dinks the ball up and that. It's a tough skill to do, but we know Dewsbury Hall can do that. He's got a wand of a left foot, and you almost expect him to do it, but you can't emphasise on the run how hard that is to get your foot under the ball and get it up over the goalkeeper, to get the goalkeeper scampering across. The defenders all over the place. It's a great header back. And it really was a really good goal. But the boys mentioned that, you know, the Justin pass as well. But Harry Winks' ball inside the fullback was a fantastic pass as well. You know, so Fassi's run. I didn't see the game live, Dan. I've seen the highlights, but you know, when you look at those highlights and that, you know, they just totally bossed the game, Leicester. And you know, and I keep giving them praise. And I did say, I think I remember saying that they was going to wallop someone soon. I remember saying that on this programme. And I think that's the first time they got 5 this season. You know, it's been coming, and it was a really emphatic performance. So people say, oh, yeah, it was only Stoke and all that. That is not an easy ground to go to. It doesn't matter where they are, what position they are in the league. It's a tough place to go to, and to dominate the game like that and to get the 5 goals and, more importantly, the 3 points. Fantastic team performance.
Yeah, it's a good point, Gerry, that Tony makes, isn't it, about that. It was their biggest win of the season in terms of the margin, and really, at no point in it did the results seem in doubt, especially, obviously, once that first goal came. They didn't have to wait that long for it. That probably helped in that sense, but Stoke just really never looked in the game.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think I said it when I was doing the commentary. You know, obviously there was the 9-0 at Southampton a few years ago, which is, you know, stands as a standalone result, stroke game. But other than that, I think I was saying, how many times do you go away from home and score 5 goals and keep a clean sheet in your career? And it don't happen very often.
I don't think I have.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Yeah.
So you take the Southampton game back, however many years ago it was now, and I just remember saying that is like a standout performance that you seen on Saturday from Leicester. I mean, everybody just clicked in the gear. Stoke huffed and puffed. They had a game plan, high press, get physical, blah. They had one shot in the first half from Campbell, that Hermansen saves. And then they had that double shot. You know, there was 2 shots come in where he makes 2 one-handed saves. But other than that, Leicester looked really comfortable. But that's because everybody was on it. Everybody was playing their part. And some of the goals, you know, Tony's mentioned the ball from Harry Winks out to Justin. Yeah, unbelievable. And a few more besides, by the way, where it could, like Iwan was saying, it could have been 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. It was just a complete performance for me.
Is it the type of performance? I guess they don't need to send a message, Iwan, because of where they are in the table. But someone like Watford looking at that will think, oh dear, we've got to go to a team that have just won 5-0, that are however many points clear at the top of the table. And again, it will even send a message to the team, to Southampton, to Ipswich, to Leeds, that Leicester don't show signs at the moment, touch wood, of letting up.
I think it is exactly that, Dan, to be honest with you. It's a message for the rest of the Championship. Because, I mean, when you're there to be fired at, when you've had the season that Leicester have had, you know, dominating games, dominating the season, 11 points clear of second place Ipswich. You know, when you do get the odd hiccup, and the club has, you know, the Coventry game, then the Ipswich game here, you know, your Leeds, your Southamptons, your Ipswiches probably thinking, oh, okay, it's not done and dusted yet. They're not runaway champions. You know, they are human beings after all. But I do think going to Stoke and scoring 5, even though, as Tag said, they're not a great Stoke side, I think it is a real standout result. I think it's up there with going to Southampton earlier in the season and putting 4 past them, going up to Ewood Park, who were flying at the time, who were playing well, who were I think they were in and around the top 6, putting 4 past them, going to Swansea after the international break, scoring 3, could have had more. I went to St Andrews, scored 3 there, could have had more. It's, you know, they've got the best. I mean, doesn't surprise anybody really. They've got the best away record in the division by 6 points. Southampton are second. They've won 6 less points. They've conceded less than a goal a game away from home. That was the 11th. And when you think, right, that was the 11th clean sheet that Leicester have had this season. They could have had another 4. They could have kept clean sheets in half their games. When you think the late goals against Sheffield Wednesday, twice against Ipswich, here last Tuesday against Swansea. I mean, defensively, absolutely rock solid. But then you've got the flair and the creativity. I mean, Dewsbury Hall, and I know he's unplayable at the minute. Absolute. I feel sorry for the opposition's midfielders because they just can't cope with him.
And on the back of that, again, you know, half time you're thinking, no Vestergaard, and they send that young Ben Nelson instead of Cottee. And how good does he look, Ben Nelson, by the way?
Looks natural, doesn't he?
Oh, unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a lot. And especially when he wins his challenges, the first thing on his mind is, can I find a blue shirt? I'm not going to go sprinting off way up the pitch, even though Fast got
He's not going to do a fast.
No, but just in his mind is keep it simple, give it a blue shirt. His positions for his covering runs on Saturday were absolutely spot on. You know, he played like an experienced pro on Saturday in that second half. And what is he, 19?
That's all he is.
19, 20, something like that.
Yeah, he's. You look at the actual stats of it, Tony, from Leicester's start. I read this out on Matchday Live at the weekend. They've won 23 of their 30 games. They've conceded 23 goals as well. They've won as many games as they've conceded goals throughout the season so far, and that is a stat itself.
It's been an incredible season so far, Dan, and you know the challenges are going to be there for the boys. You know, they've just got to keep doing what they're doing. You've got to keep winning the matches, and the targets and the aims are going to come along as you know, like a horse race where you've got to keep jumping over the hurdles to get to the finishing line. And you know, the first objective always has been get promotion. So you get your promotion, then you want to be champions. And then you then start looking at all the other records. Can you get to 100 points, which they should do? We know that. But there's a challenge there. Can you get to 100 points? You know, can you win more games than any team's ever done in a 46-game championship? That's another thing to look at as well. Can you score more goals than any other team? You know, there's all these records that can be achieved. And it's developed, and it's been right from the word go. It's developing into a fantastic season, and I can't praise them high enough because, you know, they have their setbacks. You know, I watched the Coventry game and that, and you get your setback, you have your defeat, and then you've got to bounce back from it, which is what they've continually done, Leicester. Every time they've had a setback, they bounce back from it, they get the victories, and they move on again. And as a unit, I know it's a strong squad of players. I know they kept quite you know, almost the nucleus of what went down, but you've still got to perform. You've still got to go out there week in, week out as an individual and as a team. You've got to go and do it. And, you know, they've got a wonderful manager. And I'm so pleased for everyone at the club, and I'm pleased for the fans and everything. And the results are happening. But those challenges are going to come thick and fast, hopefully over the next few months. And the FA Cup as well. You know, that's a good draw in the FA Cup. Bournemouth might not want it. They'll have their eyes on staying in the Premier League, etc. They've got a chance to get to the quarterfinals, and we'll look at what happened 3 years ago, etc. So much excitement for the football club. There really is.
Speaking of challenges, it's time to now challenge you guys at home who are watching along with the first of our Lurdles this evening. So if you're new to us on Extra Time, this is where we'll play a snippet of commentary throughout the show. Each time the snippet of commentary will get longer and longer and easier, and you've got to tell us who scored the goal and who it was against. There's always a link as well, so there's a mini clue to start things off. So here is clip number 1 of tonight's Lurdle.
As Albrighton finds Kante over the halfway line on the left-hand side.
Oh!
Gerry is intrigued. Well, we'll play it one more time for you. Here's clip number 1 from Al Erdal.
As Albrighton finds Kante over the halfway line on the left-hand side.
So plenty to think about there. That is clue number 1.
You haven't got it after that, Tags. No way
No,
you've got it after.
No, but I know what season it is.
Ewan has just messaged me a guess. It's not correct. The combination of it, one of the two is correct, but one of them isn't. So I'm not going to give away who it is.
I know which one's correct then, Dan.
Yes. Ewan has guessed, was it against Watford? That is incorrect. So the link isn't that it was against Watford then.
But I got the goal scorer right.
That's on Saturday, yes, but we won't say who that is just yet.
No,
we'll
keep
come
that
back
quiet.
To clue number 2 a little bit later on. The evergreen Jamie Vardy, Tony, Ewan. Tony first, then Ewan. I'm sure we've been waxing lyrical about him, haven't we, for as many years as we've been doing Extra Time. What has it been, 5 years or so now? He's just incredible, and he comes off the bench, scores 3 minutes later, scores his penalty at the end, even has time to have a quick rustle of the home Stoke fans as well. He's enjoying his season as he's enjoyed his whole football career.
I saw the stat in my paper, I don't know whether you boys have seen it, that apparently Jamie's the oldest championship goal scorer, Dan. Did you see that? The oldest player ever to score in the championship. And I'm thinking to myself, surely Teddy Sheringham, when he played for West Ham, I'm trying to think, and it was in the paper today that he's the oldest player at 37 or whatever age he is, Jamie, you know. But whether that stat is correct, I'd love to know. If anyone knows, let me know. But if that's what I read, and I think that might well be the case. But do we expect anything different from Jamie? You know, I think he must love being a part of this group. You know, once you get over the disappointment of relegation, etc., and then you look at the players around you, you know you're going to be playing in a division lower. You know that the standard of defending perhaps won't be quite as good as it is in the Premier League for obvious reasons. But you know there's goals there for you. All you've got to do is keep fit. And I know he's had a few injury problems, which you've got to expect at that age. But, you know, he just comes on and he's in the right place. And, you know, how many times do you see, like when James Justin whipped that ball across, you see the ball fizz across the face of the goal and there's no one near to tap it in. Not with Jamie Vardy. That's never the case. He's always in the right position. All right, he might not score every time, but he's always in that position, you know. And as I say, to come on, you know, when you're leading 2-3-0, whatever it might be, and you know there's goals there for you. I think, was it Tags who mentioned about getting 200 goals, or was it you? And one of the boys touched on it. You know, there's that challenge there for him. You know, try and get the 200 goals and that. But yeah, he must love being a part of this team because you know there's goals there. And in terms of the forwards that Leicester have got, you know, Cannon and, you know, Iheanacho's not even involved at the moment, is he? Daka's a great player. You know, they've got 4 real top-class strikers for the Championship. But nothing but praise for Jamie. You can't praise him high enough, particularly how his career started, that we've talked about many times before, from where he started and where he is now. Phenomenal achievement.
I saw his interview on after the game, and the interviewer said, "Well, you know, you're 37 now," and he's like, "Yeah, it's only a number," and he's spot on.
Mate, you want to see him when he come on?
Sharp as a tackle.
Oh, unbelievable!
Yeah.
Unbelievable, hungry. He was chasing everything down.
And while you've still got that hunger and desire, Tags, you can't hang your boots up.
No,
it's too important. 8 goals in 20 games, a goal every two and a bit games this season for Leicester at 37. TC, I scored at 36 in the Championship, so he's definitely beaten me. But I mean,
I'll try and find the list, Ewan.
I've had a look.
Got it, Dan.
I've had a look. So Phil Jagielka last season for Stoke, Kevin Phillips for West Brom in 2014, and Teddy Sheringham for Colchester in 2007. All did it past the age of 40. But on the list, he roughly goes in about 15th, 16th. But he is the eldest this season, Tony. So maybe that's what you read.
Yeah. Misinformation, I apologise.
That's okay. But still, the oldest this season anyway. So we'll say you get a half a point there. But yeah, it's just... Gerry, I mean, as you said, you were there. You saw him when he came on alongside James Justin. That you kind of just had a feeling he would score. He would be involved somehow in the game.
I think it was like a coiled spring. He was just itching to get on the pitch, and he knew exactly. He must have knew. So I'm going to get a goal here today, because when he came on, he was like, "Come on." He was chatting to all the other players. I'm going to do this.
You can sense it as a forward.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, he produced the goods, didn't he?
Do you know the biggest thing about his goal. He's gone to celebrate. He's gone to sort of have a pop at the Stoke fans, and they've all gone home because they're 4-0 down.
Yeah. Yeah, there was no one there behind the goal when he scored the penalty. When he scored the fifth. Oh, yeah, but I say he was proper hungry for it. Proper.
I think what he does, he manages his body. He knows what he needs to do, sort of fitness-wise, training-wise. He might have a couple of days off in the week, Dan. He might not train with the rest of the boys. He might train with the physios, get a massage, look after his legs. Because come a Saturday or come a whenever the lads play, he will be at it. He will be chomping at the bit. And as I said, 180 goals for Leicester. Can he get just another 20? I'm not sure what his contract situation is, whether he's got another year after this. I mean, if he carries on playing like he is, and showing the desire, the hunger, and scoring the goals and putting the numbers up that he has done this season, with, as you said, Tags, sort of one or two injury problems as well.
Yeah.
He's missed a few weeks of late, and it's great to see Patson Daka 6 in 9 for him. That's a magnificent return. So when you got two centre forwards firing like that, you got Tom Cannon knocking on the door, you got Kelechi Iheanacho to come back. I mean, it's magnificent signs.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we've talked about Daka's opener, Tony. Obviously, his penalty he put away with ease, didn't he? I don't know if you saw the celebrations. Gerry certainly will have done of Daka doing his backflips. Abdul Fatawu straight in behind him doing them as well. It seems that the players just love playing, and you would do being top of the league where Leicester are. It must just be great fun.
Absolutely great fun, and that. There's no way me and Tags would have done that together, doing like and if it even worse, you'd have thrown him. I think I could never ever have attempted that, and there's no way you could have done it either. And that it's amazing. Some of these players, you look at them and you see what they do when they score a goal now, which is incredible. But it shows the athleticism of some of the players to be able to do that. It's like it must be it's a natural. I mean, I played with the great Peter Beagrie. Peter Beagrie was one of the first ones to do it. And, when he used to do it, I used to say, Beags, how can you do that? And I think he'd done it one game and he injured himself, so he had to stop it towards the end of his career. So, but yeah, Daka loves scoring goals. And I've really enjoyed watching him develop Patson Daka. And I said when he arrived at the club, he would learn a lot from Jamie Vardy. And I think he has. He plays on the shoulder. I've said that many times before as well. And I just love his enthusiasm to the game. And, he's a real big part of what Leicester are trying to achieve. And, I think they've got to keep, somehow or other, they've got to keep hold of their 4 strikers. If you get back in the Premier League, you need to have those strikers that can make a difference, score the goals, make the runs, and give you different options as well. And if you look at the 4 of them, you could perhaps compare Daka and Vardy slightly together, but the other 2 are completely different. So you've got a real variation in strikers, and that gives you great option as the games progress.
Dan, do you know what I like about Daka? I mean, we were talking about it earlier. He missed a great chance to make it 2-0 against Swansea last Tuesday, and I think it was after about 15, 20 minutes. And had that gone in, I think the floodgates would have opened, and Leicester would have gone on to get 5 or 6 against Swansea on the night. He hasn't let that.
No,
he hasn't let that affect him. He's, it would have been easy for him, right, on Saturday, just to, when he's seen that ball being crossed from that left-hand side from Dewsbury Hall, and Fatawu head it across the 6-yard box, maybe not to sort of be on the move into that 6-yard box to get the tap in, just in case what happened Tuesday happened on Saturday. But no, he was in there, and the bravery then to take the penalty, and I mean the penalty is another one. What, 4 or 5 different penalty takers this season? That's like, I don't know any other football club that, and all scored, I think. And it was a magnificent penalty, absolutely magnificent. So I like his bravery as well. Didn't let what happened against Swansea affect him, where he missed a City. He knows that. He's still going in. He's still getting into those areas where he knows, 8 times out of 10 he's going to get chances for the club.
Yeah, he's definitely improved, hasn't he? As a striker this season, he plays a slightly different way to what he did under Brendan Rodgers. Even though Jamie Vardy still plays the same way Jamie Vardy's always played, he does play a little bit more like Jamie Vardy style of his closing down, his work rate. Necessarily, the way Leicester play doesn't suit that style of football that Patson played when he first came into the club. And I think you have to put that down to the manager. You know, he's learned a lot from him. But maybe the manager's learned a lot by watching Jamie Vardy and thinking, well, hold on a minute. I like this. You know what I mean? I need to get Patson to play this style of football as well. I don't know, but you can see it rubbing off on the pitch, definitely, over the last 5-6 games.
Right, let's do clue number 2 then for our Lurdle this evening. Gerry already knows what season it is from. The eagle-eared, if that's a saying, listeners will have heard that N'Golo Kante is in there. You can pretty much pin the season that it's from. So we'll do clue number 2 next. A reminder, we are looking for the goal scorer and the team that it was scored against.
As Albrighton finds Kante over the halfway line on the left-hand side. Kante dances away into Mahrez, who skips away.
There we go. That's all you're getting. So a little bit extra on that. We'll play it for you one more time. So we need the goal scorer and the team it was scored against.
As Albrighton finds Kante over the halfway line on the left-hand side. Kante dances away into Mahrez, who skips away.
So there we go. Get your guesses in. Who do you think scored that goal and who did they score it against? We'll do clue number 3 in a short while. We'll also look ahead to that Watford game. Then we'll hand the reins over to Ewan for globe-trotting. A couple of you have mentioned his name already. Gerry, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, 10 goals, 10 assists for the season. Again, he was just so good at the weekend, wasn't he? And I mean, what are we? Early February. I think there's a very, very strong front runner for player of the season.
Oh, yeah.
Championship player of the season, even, Dan.
I mean, he was, like Ewan says, at times when he steps it up again, it's players can't live with him. And Stoke, you know, obviously just couldn't live with that injection of pace. Again, he has that desire. You speak about that edge that you need. He has all that in abundance, and obviously the quality that goes with that to make you a top player. And at times, you know, as Ewan's already alluded to, the gulf in class between what you would call, you know, a decent championship standard midfielder and Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. The golf in class is just there for all to see. It's massive, massive. When he just goes, bang, I'm going to take control.
Am I right in thinking, Tags, the last goal, it's a counter-attacking move for Leicester. It's an injury time. Game's won, 4-0. There's a ball up towards the halfway, and he's there like a shot.
On it
straight away.
Yeah.
I mean, his energy, and I've spoken about his energy levels before. They're absolutely ridiculous.
It was a clearance from Hamza Chowdhury.
Yeah. And he's onto it.
And Jamie Vardy won the first contact.
That's it, yeah.
But you're right. As soon as the ball goes up the field, Dewsbury-Hall, he's going, I'm in here. If Ards wins that header, I am in. And he just steamrollers onto the side.
And that's an injury time, and the game's won. Game's done and dusted.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah, on Facebook, Luke Walters says KDH and Harry Winks, it's a dangerous combination in midfield. And Ryan Layton says KDH has been our best player this season. The passion he has for the club is great to see. And that's what he wants. His boyhood club, isn't it? He wants to be the main man as they win promotion back to the Premier League, where I think everyone will agree that's where Leicester belong.
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. And you know, I'm a huge fan. What I like about him, he's got everything, and you don't always say that about midfielders. You know, sometimes you say they've got good engine, or they're a holding midfield player, or sometimes they can be a creative midfield player, but you don't get a lot else defensively. But he's like a Rolls Royce. And, you know, I've really enjoyed watching his progress over the last 2 to 3 years since he got in the team, and he's just getting better and better and better. And I know he was linked with a couple of clubs in the window and that, and he's got to expect that, and the club's got to expect that because of the standard of his performances. And and the better he does, the more he influences games, the more goals and assists, etc. He will get linked with so-called bigger clubs. That's just the world that we live in, the football world we live in. But We want him to stay at Leicester. And if Leicester, which they will do, get back in that Premier League, there's no reason for him to leave. Why would he want to leave? You know, it's his club. He's made his name playing for this club. And, you know, I want him to stay in that. And for Leicester to have a successful season in the Premier League next season, which we all want, we need the player to stay at the football club.
Yeah, he's just been brilliant, Ewan, hasn't he? And I think you could probably do a whole extra time hour where we only talk about Kiernan Dewsbury Hall and what he's been able to do this season. Can't remember if it was you or Gerry that just said about him taking games by the scruff of the neck. He did it on the opening day, didn't he? Against
scored 2 goals,
Cottee,
didn't he? Yeah.
And hasn't looked back since then.
I mean, he just is unplayable. I mean, last week against Swansea, I mean, the timing of his run for his goal is outstanding. His composure when he's one-on-one with the keeper is magnificent. You've got and because those runs are so good, and the opposition's the opposition's midfielders don't want to track him, don't want to go with him because they know they can't live with his pace and his power. It causes a massive problem then for the back four. The right back's got to go next to the centre half because there's no communication. That then frees up Mavididi down that left-hand side. I mean, if he doesn't get the ball, you know, it goes out to Mavididi. As you said, he started the season on the opening day, or wasn't the opening day, it was a Sunday, wasn't it, against Coventry, as he meant to go along. Scored 2 magnificent goals, and he's just got better and better and better. He's 8th top scorer in the Championship, and he's a midfielder.
Let's do clue number 3 then for our Lardle. Gerry, you look like you've written a few answers down. Are you confident that you've got it?
Semi, not 100% yet, to be honest.
Okay. Well, Paul Flello and Michael Julian, well done to you two on Facebook. You've got it spot on after 2 guesses. That's impressive. Let's do clue number 3 then to see if anyone else can join those two. We need the goal scorer and the team it was scored against.
As Albrighton finds Kante over the halfway line on the left-hand side. Kante dances away into Mahrez, who skips away from Otamendi. Chance here for Riyad Mahrez. Mahrez with the shot!
Otamendi.
There we go. Again, those of you who can put 2 and 2 together might be able to get that one. Tony's got a smile on his face. Don't say it, Tony, but it looks like
I've got the
you're
opposition.
confident.
I know the opposition. That's what I do know.
Yeah, well done, well done. And Ewan's confident now, I think, as is Gerry. Well, they're writing each other down. They're passing notes, yeah, and agreeing. So most people get in after 3 clues. Get your answers in on Facebook if you do have an idea. But well done, as we said to Paul and Michael a little bit earlier, who got it from 2 guesses. Very quickly before we move on to our globe trotting, because I know it's a bit of an extra one, a long one tonight, Ewan. You've got a couple, haven't you, for us tonight? Bubba, one of our regular viewers, good evening to you, Bubba. Said it's the A team, us 4, on extra time. He enjoys seeing us, so we can tell Matt Elliott that. He doesn't need to come in next week. Gerry can do every single week. He's also said, and we have mentioned it already a couple of times, but he says, please don't let the hour pass by without mentioning Mads Hermansen and that double save. Quite comfortably, I mean, without seeing every game, Gerry, you've got to say there's not going to be many better double saves, are there, across the Championship season?
I think... we know how many goals he has conceded, but the amount of goals he stopped from going in this season is probably somewhere near the same. And in all honesty, Dan, when opposition teams go through on goal, you fancy Mads Hermansen to save it rather than go in the back of the net. And that was the same on Saturday when Campbell went through. All right, it was a slightly tight angle, but, you know, he's going to be a top drawer keeper. There's no doubt about that. He's got a bit of the Kasper Schmeichels about him.
That's what I was going to say.
Absolutely. And he's only going to improve. How old was he? 21, 22, something like that there? 20.
Young boy, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the world is his oyster, as they say. Phenomenal.
And the impressive thing as well, lads, he hadn't had a lot to do in the game. So to produce those 2 reaction magnificent saves in the space of 5 seconds like he did, you know, as I said, he earned the clean sheet that he got, the one that he would be disappointed to not have got against Swansea last Tuesday.
I mean, obviously, you and Anthony, you'll have both played, will you, against, of course, Peter Schmeichel, and as Ewan was saying, he reminds him a lot, as Gerry, sorry, he reminds him a lot of that. And when a keeper does make himself really big like that, Tony, how difficult does it make it when you're in that position in the penalty area and you've got the ball at your feet and you can just see the goalkeeper coming at you?
Well, Schmeichel used to scare the life out of me, Peter Schmeichel. I mean, he was absolutely huge, wasn't he? He was, what, 6'4", 6'5", and when he used to do the star, yeah, it just, you know, the goal used to shrink, and all you could see was the goalkeeper, and it was, you know, it was a very sort of clever skill that he developed. You know, he was also one of the first goalkeepers that I can remember that coming up for corners, etc. You know, and you know, almost developing that part of the game. You know, he wanted to that Schmeichel would throw the ball, you know, instead of kicking it in. He was very, very inventive as a goalkeeper. Obviously, rubbed off on Casper, who had learnt an awful lot from his dad. But you know, with Hermansen, you can see it's very difficult to compare him with Peter Schmeichel at the moment, because for me, Peter Schmeichel's a standalone in the Premier League era as the best goalkeeper. So it's very, you know, I don't want to put too much pressure on young goalkeepers, but the way his game's developed, the double save was phenomenal, especially with the result as it was. You know, he hadn't had much to do, so you know, fantastic saves. But I always think the sign of a really top class goalkeeper is when they make a save that you don't expect them to make. You know, goals go in, etc. But every now and again you get a wow. You go, wow, what a save that was. And particularly the second save, it was a real, how did he save that? You know, type of thing. And you know, and it's not the first time as well. It's not, you know, what a one-off, and we haven't mentioned him before. You know, there's been times this season, many times this season, where we've sung the praises of all the attacking skills that Leicester have got. We haven't really spoke about him, but there's been times where he's made crucial and vital saves and that. And you know, it's not always the saves that you want him to make when it's, say, 0-0 or whatever. Sometimes it could be, Leicester could be 2 up. And we all know if a team gets a goal back and it goes 2-1, it makes a massive difference to a football match. And time after time, he's made them saves. And you think, wow, what great saves. And he's been as influential in the goal for Leicester as the outfield players have been.
Right, it is time for Iwan Roberts' favourite part of the show. Ewan, it's, as you had it a couple of weeks ago, it's where you take the reins.
Guess who's back?
Just a small snippet.
Back again. Warnock's back. Tell a friend. He is back, boys, at the ripe old age of 75. Neil Warnock back after retiring for the 84th time in his managerial career. Barry Robson sacked as Aberdeen manager earlier in the week. Who do they turn to? They're in a bit of trouble. They're in a bit of strife. They're 8th in the Scottish Premier League, I think they call it. They're 6 points off the relegation zone. I mean, it's unthinkable of Aberdeen going down. So they've turned to Neil Warnock, his 20th club. He's had more promotions than any other manager. I look at the job that he did at Huddersfield last season. They were dead and buried. They turned to their former manager. Him and Ronnie Jepson went in. They won 9 of their last 23 games. And they've got a real baptism of fire tomorrow. Their first game, Rangers away. And Rangers have won their last 7 at Ibrox. But I had a 3-month spell with Neil at Huddersfield. And he is one of these, you love him or you hate him. I got on really well with him. I think if he's your manager, you love him and you will run through a brick wall. I don't know if you've come across him, Tags or TC.
Oh, yeah, on many occasions.
Yeah.
And none of them are good. That's all I'll say on the matter. Probably best off leave me out of this one. But hey, listen, fair play to him. I know
he lives in Plymouth, by the way.
Yeah, I know. You couldn't get any further away, could you? But I know Chris Morgan, centre half at Sheffield United. I know Chris pretty well, and he, similar to you, said he had nothing but nice things to say about Neil Warnock. You know, as far as his man management style.
When he took over at Cardiff, they were second from bottom in the Championship. So he guided them away from in his first season. He guided them away from relegation because they were staring that in the next season. He gets them promoted, back to the Premier League. So you know, knock him. Yeah, he can say some daft things that I'm sure that he's regretted on the touchline. But yeah, fair play. 75 years of age.
I've sent the 3 of you while Ewan was talking just a link to a tweet that was sent. It's a video of Neil Warnock in the airport, at Aberdeen, I think late last night, and he's got his suitcase, he's marching along, and he just looks like a man on a mission. And I'm sure like he'll go in there, and that's what he's done, Tony, as they've referenced. But what a character he is.
Oh, absolute character, yeah. I mean, I know where Tags is coming from, and I think you look at Neil Warnock and as an opposing manager and what you see on the telly and that, and you look at him, he's one of those managers that really sort of annoys the hell out of you, and you're thinking, oh, he's really annoying, and I'm not sure about him. But I met him when I was working for Sky. I met him a couple of times, and he seemed nice enough. I know you can't judge people on meeting them twice and that, but his job, you can only look at his job and what he's done in football and that, and he's a proven achiever. He's had his ups and downs like we all have in football, but he does a job, and he's one of those sort of firefighters that you call for, isn't it? When things aren't going so well, you get him in and everything. And I heard him saying that it's not about money. I bigger money offers from other clubs than that, but going up to Aberdeen, I know one thing: his biggest problem will be understanding the players. And my dad used to have a place right up the north of Scotland, and his second wife was Scottish and that, and I couldn't understand what they were saying. So as long as Neil gets past the Scottish accent, I think he'll have a chance of doing pretty good job at the end of the season.
I've got time for the second one. Chilean, I mean, he's a great player. Arturo Vidal. 17 years ago, he left his boyhood club, Colo Colo. I mean, he's had an unbelievable career. Look at his CV: Juventus, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Inter Milan, went to Flamengo in Brazil. Well, he's just re-signed for Colo Colo. And they had the unveiling over the weekend. 35,000 fans packed into the stadium in their capital, Santiago. I mean, I'm not doing it justice. You've got to see it. You've got to watch it. He's turned up in his own personal helicopter, and then instead of getting onto the pitch and doing the odd keepy-uppies as players do now when they're signing for a new club, they put him on a horse. They dress him like Prince Charles in his coronation. He's got a crown on his head, and he goes round on this horse he goes round the pitch on his horse.
It was like a scene out of Gladiator, wasn't it?
He reminded me of a gladiator and stuff. But I mean, what a player! I mean, 114 caps, I think, for maybe a few more for Chile. But yeah, it was. I've not done it justice. If you get a chance, get into Google, Arturo Vidal horseback. You'll have a right good laugh.
I think
quite the return you had at West Ham, Tony. You didn't come out on horseback, did you?
I didn't come out on horseback, Dan.
It'd have been a Shetland.
I got sent off in my first game back for the club as well at Liverpool. That didn't really help in that, but I did score the following week against Villa to make up for it. But no, I mean, it's always nice to get a great welcome, isn't it? And I'm thinking of like when Alan Shearer went to Newcastle and some of the Real Madrid boys and the reception they've got and that. But I'm going to have a look at the video, and it sounds like it's worth looking at.
Absolutely mental.
Well, thank you very much, Iwan, for the globetrotting. We'll go to our predictions and our Jenga slightly early this evening because we can look at some of the social media posts the Leicester players did towards the end of the show, providing, of course, Jenga doesn't go on until 7 o'clock. Before we do that, though, we've got to do clue number 4 for our Lurdle. Well done to Stephen Rook on Facebook. He's joined the other two lads, Paul and Michael, on getting it after a couple of guesses. He's got it after 3 guesses. We'll play you clue number 4 now to give people a chance to see if they'll get it. It looks like the guys in the studio have got it. Here is clue number 4. We need the goal scorer and the team it was scored against, please.
As all Brighton finds Kante over the halfway line on the left-hand side. Kante dances away into Mahrez, who skips away from Otamendi. Chance here for Riyad Mahrez. Mahrez with the shot. Oh, what a goal! Riyad Mahrez has doubled Leicester City's lead.
There we go. There's a big clue in there about who the opposition is. Obviously, you've got the goal scorer there. We'll give people a little bit of a chance, a couple of minutes to see if they can get who the team was against. Right, before we go to our predictions, it's time for the 4 of us to go head-to-head in football Jenga. I have literally just been texted this theme now. We've each got to take it in turns to do an answer on it. If we get one wrong or if we repeat one, then we are out and it is the last man standing. So the theme tonight is, after Leicester City's 5-goal win on Saturday, the last time Leicester netted 5 in one game was against this weekend's opponents, Watford, in May 2022. Name any player to feature in the matchday squads that day. So any player that featured in the matchday squads when Leicester beat Watford, I think it was 5-0, back in May 2022. So these guys will start writing their answers down. Gerry's got a forlorn look on his face already. With that, we'll see how we get on. As those guys are writing that down, I can quickly rattle through the predictions. So the four of us ahead of every weekend predict 5 championship games. If we get the results right, we get 1 point. If we get it bang on, so if we, for example, had said QPR 2, Blackburn 1, we'd have got 3 points. Nobody predicted, though, QPR would go to Blackburn and get a result. So 0 points all round there. Next up, Hull City 1, Millwall 0. Everybody predicted a Hull victory there, and that's what happened. So everybody gets 1 point. Nobody got it spot on and said 1-0, so just a point apiece. Next up was Norwich 2, Coventry 1. Well done, Iwan Roberts, getting it on there. A chance for Iwan to get off the bottom of the table with all 3 points there. Nothing for anybody else. Preston 3, Ipswich 2. Not many saw this result coming, apart from Iwan Roberts, who said Preston would beat Ipswich. So that's another point for Iwan. Looking like a good week this for Iwan. And finally, West Brom 1, Birmingham 0. I thought Tony Mowbray, new man in charge, might get a result there. I was wrong. So well done to Iwan, Gerry and Tony, who each get a point for that. Let's see what that's done for the standings. I think the gap might be closed now. Yes, there we go. Iwan's still at the bottom despite having a brilliant week, but there's now 2 points between Iwan in bottom and Matt and Gerry, their joint team, in second on 55. Tony in between them on 54. I'm still ahead in the lead on 64 despite only getting 1 point this week. Right, so we've got to go to our Jenga then, of course. This is where the four of us are going head to head. So when Leicester beat Watford back in May 2022 by 5 goals, like Leicester did at the weekend, we need to name any player that featured in the matchday squad that day. And the order we'll go in will be Iwan, Gerry, Tony, myself, and I'll tell you what, Tony, you can go first for us.
I am going to say Kasper Schmeichel.
So I will go next, and I will say Harvey Barnes.
Me?
Yeah.
Jamie Vardy.
Yuri Tillemans.
James Maddison.
Ricardo Pereira.
Oh, he's out again early.
You never want to hear that extended pause, do you, before the klaxon? Yeah, that's me out. No Ricky P in that matchday squad. It finished 5-1 that day. Who
Me,
will be on next?
I'm going to go Johnny Evans.
Ian Nacho.
I'm going to go for Perez.
Wilfred and Ndidi. He likes an injury, doesn't he?
Wow,
That's poor.
surprise.
He does like an injury.
Mark Albrighton.
I'm going to go for Wout Fass.
I got one right.
You got to get one, yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, roll back in.
Oh, Ben Foster.
Good show.
Well played, Tags. Well played, Tags.
Well done, Gerry.
The
There it is. I was waiting for it. Well done, Gerry. Taggart winning our Jenga this evening. Yeah, a couple of us. Well, must have been injuries. Ewan, Brunner, and Dee, Ricardo.
Had a bad couple of weeks, Dan, you and me, out early.
Yeah, that's me out first or second guest both weeks in a row. Yeah, Bubba has immediately written "boom, Gerry."
Love it, Bubba.
Definitely got your biggest fan there. Well, we finished 5 minutes early, so we can talk about the Watford game at the weekend. We'll also give you the answer to the Lurdle. I think everyone's got it, haven't they, Gerry, Ewan?
Yeah, Man City.
Yeah, Riyad Mahrez against
Otamendi.
Into Mahrez, who skips away from Otamendi. Chance here for Riyad Mahrez. Mahrez with the shot. Oh, what a goal! Riyad Mahrez has doubled Leicester City's lead with a moment of magic. It's more Mahrez magic for Leicester City, and the dream is well and truly alive. It's 2-0 at the Etihad.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable day, wasn't it? That 3-1 victory. The reason we picked that is because it's 8 years to the day tomorrow that game took place. Leicester City, 2 from Robert Huth, and obviously Riyad Mahrez with that incredible solo goal as well. So well done, as we've said, to those that got it already. A couple of people getting it after 2 guesses, which is always impressive for our Lurdle. Right, very quickly, Ewan, we've got 5 minutes or so. We can look ahead to the game with Watford, of course, at the weekend. You said you saw them, obviously, in the flesh during that game against Cardiff at the weekend. You said they were unlucky not to get anything from the game.
Yeah, first half, I thought they were poor. Weren't real surprised when Cardiff took the lead. Great, I don't know if you've seen it, great goal from Josh Bowler. Cuts inside from the right hand side and bends one into the top corner with his left. I mean, they huffed and puffed in the second half. They're very workmanlike. They're a typical Valerian Ismail side. They're quite big. They're quite strong. They're physical. If you can match that side of the game, you know, they're not in the best of forms. Dan, they've only won one of their last 7 league games. They have drawn 4 of those 7. They've only got 2 points in their last 5 at Vicarage Road. It doesn't take a lot for the home fans to sort of vent their frustrations if things aren't going quite right. Defensively, I think that it's the big centre half, Hoot, I think his name is. He's not the most mobile, so you know he can be got at. The 2 fullbacks, I mean, from what I saw Saturday, Jamal Lewis, and they've got young Ryan Anderson, the young boy who's grown up at Watford. They play like wingers, really. So they leave the 2 centre halves quite bare. If they do that against Leicester, but I mean, I'm looking, Dan. Next 8 games, 6 of the 8 against teams in the top half of the Championship. So there's some tough games coming up. But if you look at the next 2, Watford, Sheffield Wednesday at home, a bit like last week, and you don't want to get carried away and you don't want to get overconfident. 2 good games that could get some decent points from.
Yeah, I was sort of likening them to Middlesbrough in the way their form has been this season. Then I looked at the table and they're actually sat side by side on 41 points in the league. And obviously Middlesbrough are a team that have beaten Leicester this season, so... But, you know, anywhere near what I seen on Saturday,
yeah,
it's a foregone conclusion. You know, anywhere near that, I can't see Watford. And like you say, Jamal Lewis, I know pretty well for Northern Ireland. Doesn't like to defend. And if that's who he plays, and he's, with the form he's in, I mean...
Could have a great day, couldn't they?
Oh, so, yeah, again, obviously it's on a game-by-game basis, but... Anywhere near what I seen on Saturday, then you can't see Watford getting anything out of this.
Yeah, final word from you, Tony. I guess if you're a player, when you were a player, if your team won 5-0 and maybe like Daka or Vardy, you've got a couple of goals, you probably want the next game to be the Tuesday, to be the Wednesday. You've got to wait a week, but all week I'm sure you'll be chomping at the bit to get going and get out there again.
Yeah, you just want the game. You just want to play the games, Dan. You know, when you're winning games and you're doing what Leicester are doing at the moment, just look forward to the next game. You know, I agree with the boys. I'm doing the commentary, by the way, Dan. So obviously I'll be with you guys on Saturday, and give Tags and Matt Elliott a little day off. They haven't got to travel down, and so I thought I'd help out a little bit. But I'll be doing the comms, and I've seen Watford a couple of times this season, and they're a bit all over the place. I think they've drawn a lot of games and that, but. As I've always said, it's their cup final against Leicester. We all know it's the top of the table. Going to Vicarage Road, you know that they're going to put in a performance. So Leicester have got to be on their game. If they play anything like they did against Stoke, we should expect 3 points. And when I talk to you next Monday and on Saturday, then hopefully we'll be looking back at another good victory.
Yeah, it'll be great to speak to you on Saturday. Tony, before we say thanks and goodbye to you three, let's very quickly look how the Leicester City players reacted then on social media to the victory at the weekend. That man, Jamie Vardy, 5-star, massive performance, massive support. I think it's great that he's highlighting the away fans. They were absolutely brilliant, weren't they, on Saturday? Casey McAteer, what a win. Happy to get back on the score sheet as well. He also thanks those travelling Blue Army supporters. Ricky P, solid performance and great result today. Thank you again to the fans that travelled. Enjoy your weekend, enjoy your week, of course, leading into that Watford game. And very finally, Mads Hermansen, a big smile, that says it all, this team. What a performance from him with that double save. Well, big thank you. That is the end of Extra Time. I feel like it's flown by when you've got a brilliant victory to talk about. Thank you very much for evening via Zoom. But yeah, it's been an enjoyable evening. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you all on Saturday, of course, for that game with Watford. See you at 2 p.m. on Matchday Night.